Welcome back to the New York City Multifamily Podcast. I'm Joe Koicim. I'm joined here with my partner, Shaun Riney. How we doing, Shaun?
Very good, sir.
And we're here with someone very special to us, Jonathan Smith. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Most people think real estate deals are about underwriting, cap rates, rents, financing, but the truth is deals live or die in negotiation. Today, we're bringing on someone who has helped us personally in our business and has gone on to become one of the most interesting voices in negotiation strategy. Jonathan B. Smith is a negotiation instructor with the Black Swan Group, the firm founded by Chris Voss, the former FBI hostage negotiator and author of Never Split the Difference, great book. Years ago, we hired Jonathan as our EOS implementer, we'll explain what that is later, to help guide our business. Since then, he's worked with hundreds of companies, helping leaders navigate difficult conversations and negotiations. Jonathan recently released a new book called Fight Less, Win More: How Master Negotiators Influence Hearts, Minds, and Deals. Jonathan, welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks for having me, Joe.
It's good to see you again, Jonathan. So I just wanted to give the audience first a little bit of just high-level background. How did you, before we get into the negotiation tactics, how did you get started, and what's your general background? How did you team up with Chris Voss?
Yeah, so I started it on Wall Street, but I identify as an entrepreneur.
Okay.
So I really think of myself as an entrepreneur. I actually, my dad and I built a big business, floating security barrier. So what the hell is that? It's a fence that floats on the water to stop a waterborne IED attack.
Oh,
wow.
Okay.
So I spent a bunch of time in the Middle East. I knew about the Straits before you guys all knew about the Straits.
So are you helping with that?
I'm working on it.
Okay.
And when I got done there, I became an EOS implementer. What does that mean? I do strategy execution for businesses like yours.
EOS stands for Entrepreneurial Operating System, for those of you that don't know.
Chris Voss, I helped him with a negotiation in Abu Dhabi before I actually worked with him as his EOS implementer. So I spent a bunch of time with him, and I'm like, these skills are really interesting. I'd like to learn them. And so I started learning them. And then ultimately what we decided was his book sold 5 million copies. So Never Split the Difference sold 5 million copies. And I said, we need a missing manual for Never Split the Difference. Like, how do you guys actually use the skills? We can tell you great stories about Chris in the Philippines or in Colombia or in Iraq. But like, what about on the streets of New York?
Or his DJ voice?
His late night FM DJ voice.
Which works. I've used that several times. I used it with my wife. Fight less, win more. Most New York City operators think fight more, win more. So where does the fight less come in? What's the genesis of the book as far as, its high level application?
Yeah. So the genesis of the book is the type of negotiation we teach. We call it tactical empathy. So with tactical empathy, you have an idea of what the other party's thinking. Like you have a sense, you have a guttural sense of what's going on. And then what we teach you to do is actually verbalize that. So sometimes you want to hold it back and go like, but I don't want to tell them what I'm thinking. The reality is if we actually express that, it's almost like verbal EQ, like you're verbalizing EQ. And so there's a series of skills that we have that we use. And it all comes from the FBI, from Chris's work as like the lead FBI hostage negotiator.
Any good stories or anything you could recap that, used it recently with clients or in business specifically?
So I'll tell you guys a real estate story. So I had a buddy, he's negotiating for a house down in Colts Neck. So, the market's hot down there. The house has been owned by a family. It's in an estate. It's in disrepair.
Sure.
They want $1,150,000 for the house. The market's hot. He basically says, I don't need to have a inspection. He's not putting an inspection requirement in place, but he wants to have people come and look at the house. So he makes an offer of $1,050,000. He says, okay, I need the roof looked at. I need the mechanicals looked at. So he ends up getting 16 people to come look at the house. So we actually figure out everything that's wrong with the house. Realize that it's a lot more than we thought. We ultimately ended up paying $925,000 for the house because if they put the house back on the market, they'd have to disclose all the things that we found out about the house.
Right.
So it was super interesting
in
a market and he was an all cash buyer. So it was.
Tell us a little bit more about, what tactical empathy really means in the practical sense. Does it just mean listening more intently? Like, how do you get into a space with a client that, they really truly feel like you're listening to them, and what's the advantage to you as as the person fielding the questions?
Well, we say it starts by removing yourself as a threat.
Okay.
It's first and foremost.
Are we talking about ego there?
Well, how do you remove yourself as a threat? So I'm calling somebody, or I'm trying to get them to accept an offer. How do I remove myself as a threat to them? How do I disarm them?
We define negotiation as any time I want or I need is in your head or your counterpart's head. That's a negotiation. With your kids, with your wife, with a client.
I think the kids are the toughest part.
This works with the kids too. Yeah. And then the idea is, you may say, we have this skill called accusations audit. So if someone thinks you're coming in, they think you're coming in and lowballing them, or they think you're coming in and lowballing them, you're going to say, you probably think I'm coming in with a lowball offer. You're taking that off the table. We're reducing that negative emotion around it because you've now said it.
So you acknowledge it up front.
You acknowledge it up front, which feels super awkward when you first start doing it. But all of a sudden, it's off the table because you've acknowledged it.
Right.
If they agree with you, they say that's right. If they don't agree with you, the urge to correct is irresistible. So they'll just correct you.
Just say, "Oh no, it's not a lowball offer. That's not enough, but it's not lowball."
That's not my concern. That wasn't my problem. And then just dynamic silence. My problem is, I have to deal with my brothers. I have to deal with my lender. I have to deal with my partner. Whatever that thing is.
So call out the known objection. And is another part of it just trying to always almost put yourself in the seat of who you're dealing with versus, most people approach things like my perspective only, but it's more about, seeing the negotiation and just everything through their eyes first and kind of acknowledging that. It's kind of more of what
you're talking about is relatability, right? Relating to the person you're speaking with. And I think that goes a lot to what we do every day in terms of, who our target audience is, who that buyer is, who the seller is, and how to make sure you are articulating the points clearly to get them to accept the offer or move forward with a price reduction. And, how do you see that play out in other negotiations that you do on an everyday basis?
We call it crossing the street.
Okay.
We want you to cross the street to their side of the street, first and foremost. Empathy is about them, not about you. So the difference between empathy and sympathy, I didn't even know when I started this. Empathy, you make it all about them.
Got it.
Sympathy, you all of a sudden make it about you. So the tactical empathy is cross the street, think about where they're coming from. We talk about listening. Foundationally, it's about listening. If we have 5 levels of listening for the gist is you're on the phone shaking your head and clearly you're not listening. Listening to hijack, another problem.
Okay.
It's like you're in a meeting, someone has their hand up while you're still talking. As soon as you stop talking, the conversation goes over there. Listening for logic, logically, this person has a reason for responding the way they do. So we need to stay at a minimum in listening for logic. Listening for logic and emotion is better. It's harder to do. So they're in an emotional state, plus logically they think a certain way. And then listening for their point of view is ideally where you want to be. You don't have to agree with them. There's 5 levels, and ideally you're in there listening for point of view.
I think listening is a key part that a lot of people don't understand, especially in our world.
It's the core of the. You could just not talk very much, and we're just coming and looking. We call it for black swans.
Yeah.
Give me the details from the deal that are really holding us back.
We have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason, right?
Exactly.
I mean, I'm dealing with this right now. We had a buyer that signed a contract last week, sent the deposit check with snail mail, and then he canceled the check. He found his expediter got into his head about some archaic approved plans that didn't have a permit. And last night, I kind of used some of these strategies actually by just acknowledging, his fear, first of all, about this potential issue that's really microscopic. I mean, we're looking at a blade of grass in a forest here, but he signed the contract, he pulled it back. So I wanted to just jump down his throat and tell him he's wrong. But first I acknowledged, hey, I get where you're coming from in the sense that you want to have everything perfect and you want to feel super 100% safe in your investment. Here's my perspective, and I think you're good, but I do acknowledge where you're coming from. we'll see if that worked today. But I think this is kind of what you're kind of talking about. Acknowledge their fear or their concern, and then you can try to assuage it or influence in some capacity. But if they think it's just a back and forth of a sales guy trying to convince them of something without acknowledging them, it doesn't work as good.
Well, you're a threat at that point. Right. So first and foremost, tactical empathy, build rapport. We say empathy reciprocated, trust-based influence, then you can make a deal.
Right.
So you have to go through that ladder to get there. And with him, we say that you're 31% smarter in a positive frame of mind. He's not in a positive frame of mind until you get him over this blade of grass.
Right.
And he's not signing the deal until we figure out how to get him comfort around that. And we have to acknowledge the fact that I'm not a sales guy trying to, force a deal on you. Let's make sure you're comfortable with what needs to happen so that you feel good about the deal.
So how do you do that, right? One of the things we know about the Black Swan Group and what you guys do is approach on mirroring, right? Explain how mirroring works in a real negotiation.
A real negotiation?
Yeah.
That was a mirror. A mirror is, I say, the last 3 to 5 things. It's 3 to 5 words.
Right, so it's that acknowledging. It's that the recap.
It's acknowledging, and the other thing is like if someone says something to you and you want to know more, you go, tell me about mirroring, like upward inflection.
So real life example. Trying to sell a building right now. The highest offer is 19.5. I'm not taking less than 20.
And so I might not use a mirror in that case. I might use it seems like you have a reason to be stuck on 20. Like what about 20 versus 19.5? We all know that percentage wise it's not a big deal, but emotionally there's some reason that they're stuck on 20. Ego. They told
ego never gets in the way of real estate deals.
Half the time that's our biggest battle is, and neither side wants to lose. Like the fear of loss is big. The buyer doesn't want to buy a lemon and the seller doesn't want to undersell and be laughed at 3 years later when it sells again for a higher price. Like they only get one shot at selling the building and then it's done. So sometimes after 30 or 40 years of owning it, it's a big decision.
Lots of emotions come in, right, to play.
Yeah.
Right. What his example of 40 years of owning it, and then you're letting go of it, and you only have one chance to sell it. You want to make sure it's done right.
And many times for a seller, especially now, they can feel every buyer request as an attack. Whether it's due diligence, and sometimes it is the buyer attacking. They're trying to find ways that they can, adjust the price down after we've accepted an offer. And it's hard for us, we're effective at it, but, I think this book helps a lot in managing all those little knickknacks along the way and keeping the seller in a frame of mind of what they're overall trying to accomplish and also understanding why the buyer's saying that, because there are a lot of reasons for these little knickknacks. Is there any other special strategy to keeping the emotions calm, in a negotiation?
Well, we say the fear of loss is the greatest driver of human behavior and decision making.
More than taking advantage of an opportunity. It's
more than FOMO.
Well, it's fear of loss, right?
Same thing. Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah.
So you've got this fear of loss, and then again, I'm going to go back to the accusations audit. Like if you show up and you go, "Yeah, you probably think this guy's trying to retrade this deal," because that's what's then. You guys have done enough deals that you know what's in their head.
Yeah.
right.
You can't plant a thought in their head unless you're trying to be manipulative.
Mm-hmm.
So we say the urge to correct is irresistible. If you say something and they don't agree, they'll just tell you.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid to put out there before you drop, they're asking a due diligence question. You're probably going to think they're trying to retrade this deal. And they're going to be like,
right.
And they immediately go to the worst possible thing. And all you're like is, oh, we need to get
That's
this
exactly
form
what's
signed.
happening on a deal right now, and it happens a lot. And we don't even realize as we're doing the negotiation, we're using a lot of these tactics, right, that are just ingrained in us from doing it for so long. But putting this all together in the book that you did and the way you do it and the way you explain it, it's so good also for the audience, for us to learn and continue to learn and sharpen our skills.
Yes, and then you have a framework. Yeah. And then we can go back to the framework. I'm going to push Shaun to go actually read the accusations audit chapter. Because I think if you guys use it and the team uses it, it's a great way to deliver bad news.
Expand upon the make them say no philosophy. What does that really mean?
Yeah, so we prefer that you use no-oriented questions. People are so used to saying no to a yes-oriented question.
Right.
So
Right. Well, that's like closed-ended questions we avoid, right? It's all about open-ended questions, getting them talking, like opening them up, understanding what their concerns are, why they are selling, what the motivation is, right?
they're related.
Yeah.
So the no-oriented question would look something like this. Would you be opposed to coming and looking at the property on Tuesday?
Right.
As opposed to,
Do you want to see the
do
property?
you want
Yeah,
to see the
right,
property on
right,
Tuesday?
right.
So that would be a no-oriented question. And people are much more likely to answer, no, I wouldn't be opposed. Or how hard would it be for me to get a copy of the keys so I could show the property, or whatever you guys are asking. So, but to get in the habit of doing no-oriented questions is not easy.
We've used this effectively in a lot of follow-up conversations with buyers. A different frame of that question is usually, are you passing on the opportunity at any price? Of course, the answer, if there's someone engaged, can be no, I'm not passing on the opportunity. And all of a sudden we get somewhere because now we're talking again to them. But it's, do you want to buy the property at X price is a little bit different question than are you passing on the question?
Yeah, so we call it ghosting protocol. We have this ghosting protocol where, and our ghosting protocol basically says, have you given up on?
Have you given up?
Yeah,
That's
a
a better
good
way
one.
to
I
say
like
it.
that.
Have you given up on whatever it is?
Yeah.
Have you given up on buying, 123 Main Street?
We use that all the time, meaning like, take it away from them a little bit.
It's not a sin to not get a deal. It's a sin to spend a long time not getting a deal.
Yeah.
Right.
Speaking of not getting deals and sellers get stuck and negotiations get hard and get tense or heated, what do you do? And what do you coach your clients to do when things get heated and tense?
We say you have to accept the fact that you are going to actually get triggered. Like, you guys are going to get triggered. Everyone's going to get triggered. Yeah. We now get to decide how we want to react, not good, or respond.
I like that.
Right? You're going to get triggered.
Tell them it's going to come. Yeah. It's going to happen.
And then it's a matter of if you wait 5 seconds and just calm yourself down, or you go for a walk around the block, or you don't respond to the person until the morning, that's one thing.
Sure.
So first is accept that. And the second is, if someone is clearly upset with you, they are not thinking straight. So that's not the time to negotiate.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We say what we want to do is there's a presenting dynamic and there's a latent dynamic. The presenting dynamic is your spouse is upset with you and you say, you seem angry. And they go, yeah, I'm angry. Versus you say, it seems like I've gone out too many times this week.
Never done.
Never happened.
I like that though. It's like if somebody calls you in a emotional state, don't try to handle that situation.
Don't react. Respond.
Just listen. Basically, in that moment, deal with your potential solve for that issue the next day or when things calm down. But the first step is just listen, acknowledge their feelings, and put it to the side.
What about the flip side when someone goes silent on us, right? Like the seller's like, call the buyer back. You're like, you can't call the buyer back. Right? What do you do in that situation?
If you call the buyer back and you guys think it's the wrong time, you're a threat.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, this guy's, he's trying to force this deal on me. What's wrong with this deal now? You're trying to push it on me. You guys have a pretty good sense of that.
Sure.
We're not talking about ghosting. You're talking about sounds like you're talking about being a little bit too aggressive, or the buyer wants.
We're never aggressive.
Never.
I mean, sometimes clients think I could be a bully, but at the end of the day, we're working for, and when I mean client, I mean, in that case, a buyer. Typically we get hired to go sell the property at the highest price, and buyers know that. And sometimes you come off a little aggressive because you're trying to push a deal to get done, but you need to know when to push, pull back, and whatnot. And I think that's a big skill that takes time to learn and understand how to communicate it the right way. But yes, I've been accused of being a bully. I'm sure you have too, Shaun. Never?
No, I mean, plenty. I mean, when we need to, I think we always just want to have as many options on the table as possible. That's another way to just win any negotiation is just have more options than the next person does.
Right. You guys want to have an auction, not a single buyer.
It's a fine
Never want to
line.
be negotiating with just one person, right? And you don't want the buyer knowing that either. Right. And that's a big thing.
Typically, today, we'll give a buyer a grace period, but we got to put a time limit on it. It's like, hey, if we all run up the hill together in 10 days, we're good. But after that, I can't, keep this in an exclusive period forever, because as soon as you do that, they just take that rope to their advantage and they hang themselves with it. Too much rope is not good.
In higher pressure situations that you've seen, many negotiations over the years of you doing this, what's the best way to keep a deal alive when it feels like it's falling apart? because deals, tend to fall apart or get to that brink of that's not coming together. Any good strategies around that?
I think the best way is to acknowledge what your counterpart is feeling. Like acknowledge that. That's tactical empathy, crossing the street.
Mm-hmm.
You get to that point and you're nervous that the deal's going to die. And the reality is, like, you just need to know if there's proof of life, Shaun. Like,
right.
Is there a deal or not? And like, guys get happy here.
Yeah.
Right. And I guess what we're learning today is the way to break that ice is to try to guess what they're feeling, but don't be afraid to guess, because if you guess and you say, it sounds like you're, confused about this next step, or it sounds like you may be having second thoughts, just throwing something like that out there, even if it's not what they're feeling, they'll react to you and say, no, it's not that I'm uncertain. It's that I'm dealing with a health issue. Like, they'll correct you. So you got to go out of your way to put something out there and let them, what was the terminology used for it? The
urge to correct.
Urge to correct.
Irresistible.
Yeah. Irresistible urge to correct. So I think in that circumstance, that's maybe what you need to throw out there and see if there's any response back.
I'm going to throw a couple quotes that I've heard you say before and from your book. People don't argue about numbers, they argue about emotions.
Right. Like I said earlier, right? Like, emotions are the single biggest driver of human decision making, and that's what's driving deals. It's not the numbers. You should see when I deal with the big private equity firms and all of a sudden they put their Harvard analysis in place, and I'm like, that's not what's the problem.
Yeah.
Right.
The person talking the most is usually losing the negotiation. True or false?
It's true.
Yeah.
We just want to go back and say, like, give me the black swan. Like, okay, like your point about the guy being sick.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, he's not calling us back because he's in the hospital, or his wife's sick, or his kid's got something going on, and you're like, oh, I get that now.
Mm-hmm.
That's the deal's not dead.
Yeah.
The deal's just delayed.
The goal of negotiation is not to win. It's to make the other side feel safe saying yes.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Like, you do remove yourself as a threat, put yourself in a position where people are 6 times more likely to want to do a deal with someone they like.
Yeah. How do you deal with it? What's going on now with AI, and everyone's asking ChatGPT or Claude what to do next? And seriously, I think this is going to come out more and more as it's happening with kids in school in terms of how they're using it. How do you see it working in negotiations?
I think it's a fabulous way to prepare for a negotiation, but you still have to talk to humans.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day,
that's why we're never losing our jobs.
You're not going to lose your jobs. You're not bargaining over a commodity.
Yeah.
AI is not going to go back and forth over a commodity, because there's just too much going on with these deals.
Right. And in your book, you make the point, which I think is absolutely sound, is even over a phone or, certainly over a text message or email, you're never going to get to these black swan things. More often than not, it's the face-to-face meeting that exists way outside of ChatGPT that you're going to actually uncover, like, the motivations, because people are just going to open up in a different way when you're sitting across from them, than they are in any other type of modem. I mean, is that an accurate way of thinking about AI and how it's not going to replace these strategies?
So Chris and I have been working on some AI to make it easier for deal prep. And we call it deal prep because you're still going to have to get in the negotiation. 7% of the negotiation is what you say. 38% is your tone, and 55% is nonverbal. Mm-hmm. You guys will sit in that board meeting over there having a meeting, and you're like, oh, there's something going on over here, and no one said a word.
But it's not just what you say, it's how you say it.
That's the tone piece.
That's the tone
38% tone piece.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's big. Give us a good Chris Voss story, right? Because you got a lot of them, and I know you spent a lot of time with him. I had the pleasure of having dinner with him a couple of years ago. He's become very famous in the world of negotiation. Any good stories you could share that he would let you share? One
of my favorites is we were at, I did a dinner roundtable at, where did I do it? At the club downtown, Zero Bond.
Yep.
So I hosted him at Zero Bond. He calls me and he's like, hey, can Mike come? I'm like, I don't know. Who's Mike? I'm sure whoever you want to come can come. Mike is the assistant director of the FBI at the time.
Okay.
So Mike comes. And I'm in the FBI Citizens Academy at the time. So, like, I got 10 weeks learning how the FBI works. And because Chris wanted me to be able to get hats.
You got rejected first, right?
I did get rejected. You guys read about it. He wanted me to get hats. Like he wanted official hats that we give away at an event. So I talked to Mike and I'm like, hey, Mike, I'm missing my FBI class that night. And I look at Mike and I go, I'm missing the FBI hat. I need a picture with you. He's like, oh, you need evidence? So it's me and Chris.
That's great.
And Mike, and I have the evidence so I could get my hall pass.
That's amazing.
It was pretty fun.
Great.
No, we need to have him back on. Well, look, we wanted to keep this short and sweet. I think everybody, out there should read this book. John's, well established in this arena. Where can people find you on Instagram, LinkedIn, website?
He's all over LinkedIn.
My website and handle, it's Stay Curious, and then it's JBS. Because my name is John Smith. Who wants to be called John Smith?
Hey, it's a famous name.
This is the name of our business school at Maryland.
Well, look, if you're struggling in a deal negotiation, pick up this book. I guarantee one of the solutions that you'll find lives in it. John, it was good to see you again.
Thank you for coming, John. We really appreciate having you on.
Stopping by this morning.